We have time for just a couple more questions. What climate solutions would you like to propose or vote for?
Well, we have to do all we can to make sure that we protect our planet and that we don't take anything for granted. And so I have supported this administration's clean energy plan, and having grown up in a cabin in the Boundary Waters, our cabin actually was the first cabin to burn down in the Ham Lake fire many years ago. But I grew up understanding the value of the environment, the necessity to protect and preserve our waters, and so you can count on my support in that arena in the coming years.
And the last question that we have time for, please explain some ways you worked cooperatively with both sides to pass legislation.
Well, thank you. Kate McBride talked about the Hollydale project. That's the Xcel Energy. You actually can't get something done unless you do work with both sides, because you've got a House, a Senate, and the governor. And so you have to learn early on that the only way you can get anything done is to have support everywhere. So for example, in my pipeline project, because the House is now in the hands of the Republican majority, I have a Republican author on that, Representative Marion O'Neill. And she and I worked together to launch this program. And so I've actually made it a point, whenever I introduce legislation, to have Republican sponsors, both in the Senate and in the House. And just a little thing to share with you is that as Chair of Higher Ed, the way that we've done our committee is we have a weekly strategy meeting with my vice chair, Greg Clausen, who's a Democrat, and my GOP lead, who's Jeremy Miller. And so we plan the agenda with our staff, and then Jeremy's job is to make sure his members come along, and we take care of our members. And so in doing that, we always have a strong bipartisan vote on the higher ed bill, and we pass it off the Senate floor because we don't have that partisan divide. And I would bring that expertise and understanding of the political process to Washington. I know that he'll get a chance to talk, but I have not singled out that Speaker Thiessen. I didn't see him in the room, so thank you. Hello, Speaker Thiessen. Soon to be Speaker Thiessen.
I'd like to call for suspension of the rules and on-off words. So we wait for the questions and answer period, add another 5 minutes.
Okay, there's a motion that has been made to suspend the rules in order to extend the question and answer period for 5 more minutes. Is there a second? Second. There's a motion and a second. A motion to suspend the rules means we need a 2/3 majority. I'll need to see your badges. All those in favor of extending the question and answer period by 5 minutes, raise your badge. You can put them down, all of those who oppose. Wow, it's really close. I think they have it, that we will extend by 5 minutes. It looked really close, but yeah, I think they do have it. So we have a few more questions. And the next question is, what would you like to do about money's influence on elections?
I would like to overturn Citizens United. I mean, it is tough. You guys can't imagine how tough it is to raise money knowing that no matter how much we raise individually, there's going to be that outside money that's going to pour in with the most negative distortions imaginable. And it's going to end up having all the people in our community angry that we're even running because they have to watch and listen to that. And I do believe that it is that anger that you're seeing across the country, that the fact we all turn off when we listen to that. And so I think it is time to give the voice back to the people, and the people's voice is the ones who should be heard.
The next question is, what is your position on GMO labeling?
Well, I think it's important that whatever decision is made at the federal level. What is difficult is when states have a patchwork of solutions, and then if a company is distributing products in 3 different states with 3 different rules, they would have to observe, how you make your packaging. I came out of the consumer goods arena. I worked for Tonka Toys, and we sold all over our country as well as internationally. And so I just understand how it's important that we have one set of rules. I think that people want to know what's in their food. I shop at Whole Foods. I shop at Lake Winds Co-op, and organic food and healthy food is really important to me. I think nutrition doesn't get enough attention. I think if we spent more time talking about nutrition and less time talking about healthcare disease, we would all be better off.
The next question is, what are your views on gay marriage?
Well, I think you know that as a proud supporter of and a co-author of the Freedom to Marry bill, it's something that I believe nobody should have government telling them who to love and who to marry.
What is your preferred solution to provide universal health care?
So this is a tough one. I do not support rolling back the Affordable Care Act. I'll tell you that right now. But I think that there are some reforms that have to be made. I appreciate most the pre-existing condition clause, the fact that if you have a disease, that you're now able to get coverage just like everybody else. And that was really important for me and our family, where one of my children has a chronic disease. And so without that provision, we wouldn't have access to health care. I also believe that that provision in there that says when you're up to age 26, you can be on your parents. And I know, there's our 26-year-old, he now has to be on his own, but all of my children, well, 3 of the 4 took advantage of that, and I'm sure that's true of many of you. But there are also things in that bill that doesn't work. The way the payments are structured, who's paying for it, that we must address. And before I close, I just want you to know that when it was passed, I wrote a letter to our entire congressional delegation and said that we would be much better off using the Minnesota model of healthcare rather than the Massachusetts model of healthcare. And I gave them some very strong direction as to how we should be paying for it, where everybody has a stake in it, instead of picking out little pieces of the population to have an unnecessary burden of the cost of this reform. So I would want to roll up my sleeves, get to work, and enact some reforms.
And we have time for just one last question. Do you support more funding for special education?
I guess that was a softball, right? Since I made it a cornerstone of my speech. I do, but I don't support it coming from the state as the preferable option. I support, as I said, the federal government keeping their promise. How do they? We obey the laws, right? We do that. How does our federal government get away with saying we all must comply with standards, promise to do something, and then not fulfill the promise?
Yeah, we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.